Hi guys, welcome to our next Humminbird Unlimited podcast on human consciousness, and this particular one is based on humanity detox. I'm Alex Roseman, and this
Fetisova.
and we're looking forward to bringing this particular conversation to you, inspired by true events that are going on all around the world, right?
Yes, well, this is the whole world is on very high alert with this uncertainty going out in the air, and we found ourselves also in a situation where we are confined to our spaces based on the rules and regulations that we experience right now in Cyprus, which is the last country who has been hit with this infamous coronavirus.
Let's check your temperature. So look, this is a time which it seems to be whatever's going on outside ourselves, how we are reacting to it is sort of our underlying attitude, isn't it? It's sort of how we are dealing with things. And it's really a great time to see how you are dealing with the crisis or whatever you want to call it. Some people are just saying it's just another thing like the flu, or people are getting really concerned and staying as far away as possible by locking themselves up in their house. And we're seeing countries dealing in a different way. But I already tell you now, it seems like this virus particular thing is what it is. It's this idea of preventing you from being able to breathe, right? And in a way, it's kind of like what we've been doing to planet Earth, isn't it? You know, we've been traumatizing Earth. And I remember reading their book, the Ancient Sunlight.
Mayan Ancient Sunlight.
Yes, and that book, we're talking about this, a living organism. Earth is a living organism, and how, you know, it's being sort of raped and tortured, you know, this living organism, our Earth, and it's sort of like it felt like a sort of projection from it, and the idea of what we're doing to it, and it's forcing us to become more conscious, right, of our own actions, and especially the economy and how fast it's going, especially in China, and how it's had to slow down everything, and they've seen it from space. Literally, the pollution that was around particular areas have completely stopped, and it's like clearing up, right? So there's going to be pros and cons to all of this, and I'm sure people have got loved ones who are affected by it. You know, right now that's all they see, isn't it? I mean, in that moment,
it's the focus. The focus is very one point sided, basically, where it's all about the fear, and you know, the raped and tortured part maybe is a little bit of a point of a perception, perhaps, but still is the whole idea behind it is the fact that there has been disbalance, and also the breathing part that we have, you know, the lungs, we always associate it with freedom. And right now what people do experience is actually not having the freedom, well, in our case, for example, to even properly leave the house, because we've just arrived from UK and we have been put on a third level country list, which actually requires minimum contact with the outside world.
We are taking it probably a little bit extreme, but at the same time, it gives us a moment to, we took this opportunity to detox. We are, you know, we're reducing at the moment. We're doing the sauna, we're starting an insanity workout. Because going to the gym, I just think, you know, let's minimize it, let's use this time effectively. And including taking off social media from my phone and our phone. We thought about it at the same time while we're in the sauna, sweating out. Imagine it however way you want. And we're doing our very best to, you know, just take care of ourselves right now. I mean, we do it anyway, but it's like amping it up. And this is why the setting is a little bit different, because even our own crew won't come into the house, not even wearing masks. So there you go. Now, what does that, you know, how would that make us feel? I mean, it's like prejudice. How do other people feel from different races, right? When they're in a situation where people don't go near them. Like it sort of doesn't matter what background you have. The virus is the virus. It doesn't have any prejudice at all. And people are isolating themselves. It's kind of a strange feeling, isn't it? When people don't want to be near you or, you know, protecting themselves. It really, I feel like it triggers that two core deep fears, the fear of being rejected and the fear of not being loved.
Yeah.
But not to take it personally,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's almost like an isolation and a separation of sorts. But at the same time, again, it's the meaning that we give it. Nothing has the meaning, and nothing has the meaning
Nothing in life has any meaning except the
meaning you give it.
it.
And when we give it the meaning of separation, the meaning of fear, it is a very lonely place indeed. And we actually have noticed a very big shift even in our reality from one day to the next. When we have first arrived, it was really it felt like Armageddon. It felt like the whole world was turned upside down. The schools are closing, there's very extreme measures being taken, and then you find yourself in this fight or flight, very primal mode of survival. That I would imagine this is what the ancestors were going through during the times of scarcity.
Yeah, it's like triggering old ancestry kind of DNA or something.
Yeah.
You go into fight or flight response, you're seeing how other people are measuring it and dealing with it. And we felt it, didn't we? That we're kind of getting swept up with the tsunami of fear. And with that, fear comes with a density. It brings you down to a lower vibration, which makes you more susceptible to illnesses, right? And the time right now is to raise your vibration, raise your frequency, whatever you want to call it, go to your higher self, get out of fear so that you become less susceptible to it. You build your immune system, because when you're in fight or flight, your immune system drops, right? Because it's activating everywhere. It's in this scarce mode and hyper vigilant, but in a way you can't sustain that, and it's going to take a lot of energy, where your energy should be put back into the body, relaxing, detoxing. And this is why we kind of took the decision to shut out the outside world. We're using this opportunity now not to get swept up by the fear.
It's more than like shutting out so much the outside world as the negativity that the media has kind of produced, because we really don't know. That's the thing about it. We only know what we've been told. And this is the story as old as the world itself. I mean, whoever shouts the loudest, whoever has the most information going out there is the one who's shaping the reality of the masses, right? Yeah. And this is where we're finding ourselves. So in the end of the day, the reality that you are creating yourself, and you are deciding what you're inviting into your reality and into your space, because this is your responsibility to make sure that whatever information comes in assists you in connecting to your essence and to your power, rather than disarming you, and media is a very renowned medium of fear distribution, amongst other things.
Well, it makes money from the sensationalism. They need to hype it up, coming out from Brexit and Trump. It's like, let's hang on the coattails of this coronavirus business, and with good measure, because we don't know how, should we say, serious it all is. People say this, people say that. But the point is, it's the narrative we tell ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what we decided was to change the narrative. And straight away this morning, it was like the bag just dropped, wasn't it? It was like a lightness, and we're suddenly enjoying it. And, where your focus goes, energy flows, and everyone's energy is going to this. And if we keep putting our energy into it in a way of fearful, it's going to keep expanding it, right? And it's become everyone's reality. We want to put a different energy out there, and not certainly have that narrative and create something beautiful. And this is the opportunity to really harness and practice cultivating, when the fears do come in life, this and other things that are going to come, to cultivate that inner peace, that calmness, and love and compassion, and put that out there. So it's kind of like a workout, for the soul, for the spirit.
It really is building up that muscle to be able to it's like a test drive, really, what is going on now here in the world, where you having to be facing the adversity as strongly and as head on, and also developing so fast. I've never in my 37 years of my life have seen development so fast, going globally, and we somehow as people now uniting in that reality, where it's either, like you said, it's either fear, or what Alex says, love, because in the end of the day, it is you who nourishes your body and who feeds your body what it is that it needs to take in. So taking real responsibility for the thoughts that you think.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's all a choice. And I'm seeing it as a way of escapism as well. Escapism of maybe dealing with responsibilities that are in your life, because you can put all your energy in that. And you know what? I noticed it yesterday, how demobilizing? Immobilizing. You just feel like frozen. You don't want to do anything else because it's like you've given yourself the excuse to be in fear and, well, that's going on. I don't have to do my my chores, my responsibilities, and you kind of get to put it down for a moment because it's addictive. All these problems, we get connection,
It's
kind
variety.
of talking about it, and it's variety. It's different. It kind of gives some people purpose. We're talking about it and how some just feel that this is driving them momentarily. But you know what? It's hard to then want your purpose to disappear. So kind of keep it aflame some way. And it's like, rather than looking for your purpose through something like this, it's, really now self-inflection and really going within yourself and finding out the questions. This is daily practice, what it is you really want to be doing, what kind of impact you want to have on the earth. And all this just really is helping, I think, the world to become, to wake up.
Yeah.
This is sort of the wake-up call, and unfortunately it may not be as pretty as we'd like it to be, but it's just necessary. It's a necessity.
Yeah, and if you just keep in mind the fact that your world, is the reflection of what is going on within us, and really this world is now shaping itself up collectively, right? And I'm like all the famous authors and leaders in the personal development area, they constantly bring our attention back from lack, which is what fear is about, because it's false evidence appearing real, right? And it's lack of control, it's lack of information, it's lack of necessary resources, whatever it might be, and then going back to abundance and going back to gratitude for what it is that we actually have. We have these amazing avatars, these amazing bodies that have perfected themselves over thousands of years and that have this immunity already built in them, in their DNA, in their composition, that has the ability to do so many processes at the same time. If you think about it, you get yourself a cut and the cut heals, or there's so much that goes on without us even realizing, even breathing itself. It's a consistent process that brings us life. So having the faith in the body a little bit, not saying that you don't take necessary precautions, that we definitely do, as Alex says, take it a little bit to the extreme maybe perhaps, but actually respecting your body as this machine that is here to serve what it is that your higher self and what command you're giving it. Now, if you are in a death affirming mindset, which might be, oh my God, the world is doomed, it's gonna catch me, what's gonna happen then, all of those fears, then you are literally affirming the bodily functions that are slowing down your rejuvenation.
Well, also it's a clear indication that, was it really the virus outside of yourself creating that? Because it seems like that was already something that was there and it's just brought it out of you.
Interesting.
Right? So it's not that it's causing it, because otherwise it would cause the same reaction for everyone. It's clearly something that's underlining that needs to be addressed, and something as big as this, however you react to the fear, or as Julie was saying, it's really about the, doom and gloom. Well, that was already in you, and this is just highlighting it. And then it means that you can address it in some way, like the issues that the planet is having to address because of it. And who knows what's going to unfold and what happens from it all. But I know that how you choose to deal with it is going to come back to you, right? And if you look at this as a time to reflect and really work on yourself, and nourish your body, nourish your mind, you can come out of this even stronger, right? But if you act out of fear and you know, you're freaking yourself out and you're watching all the news all the time, and that's where you're going to be. You're going to become a nervous wreck. And in 2 weeks' time doing that, you're going to be burnt out. Even if you didn't get it, you may be exhausted and susceptible to other illnesses because you've lowered your immune system, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what John DeMartini said in his beautiful video that he posted recently about the immune system thriving on the choices that you make in line with your highest values.
Yeah, your highest priorities.
Highest priorities. Yeah. So what it is during the day that you think do say that affirms the highest values that by which you live. Say, for example, I don't know, contributing to society in some way, or you know, values of freedom. How is it that you dedicate your time, because we are never guaranteed anything, and just because this virus is around here and people are talking about deaths doesn't mean that you're guaranteed that tomorrow you're not gonna, you know, cease to exist, you know. So how are you then gifting yourself this present moment, in this awareness of turning this disaster around into the gift of living?
Well, it'd be so awesome to see, you know, if people took it in a way of going, wow, you know, every day, you know, I'm blessed to be alive today, right? And you know, not to take advantage of it or take it for granted, and going, what can I do to serve the planet, serve the people, as knowing that we're a part of this big community, right? Doesn't matter, you know, different countries, we're all sharing this planet, right? We all got the same challenge. Doesn't matter what country you're in right now.
And then it's actually amazing because the world all of a sudden became so small. You know, when you think about it and you look on the news and you realize that all of the countries are all united, except for the fact that we're all human, of course, and you know, the economic backgrounds with it, but they're all united in the same purpose now, to protect their people, right? And then you realize that it's actually so intertwined. We are all interconnected. We're constantly traveling, we're constantly receiving information, giving information, exchanging information, that impacts all of us. We're sharing this beautiful playground that we were given as Earth. You know, we have created these machines that are flying up in the sky and that have brought us closer together. But then again, that has also brought us closer together and uniting sometimes in fear. So,
well, it's like the internet is open vessel. Whatever you choose to find and watch is entirely up to you, isn't it? And if you want to find, you know, conspiracy theories or people talking about all the negative stuff, and it's so easy kind of catching ourselves getting pulled into it.
Totally, it's
we're like, wow, if we're doing this, and we'd like to think we're rather conscious, I can imagine the whole world is just pulled into this, right? And you know, it takes a conscious decision to go, right, am I going to go into this? Yes, I need to be aware, but do I want to read into this narrative, or would I rather use this opportunity, cut out the noise, realizing that social media can, you know, obviously bring you down at the same time by seeing the fear that's just projected onto it, and using this time to really switch off from the outside world in some way, to really start to ask the questions and find out what's going on inside. Because we had a in-depth conversation last night with the things that are going on, with stuff that comes up, because we can be quite triggered about all of this. And this leads into sort of more in-depth, powerful conversations. And for today, because of it, we've, you know, taken social media off. We've had a really lovely day of just being and enjoying and inviting things in, and, you know, not being met with the demand from the outside world. And because we made that conscious decision to switch it off, right? Because it's so easy. It's sort of like, it's like food, isn't it? You kind of like get caught up in it. You're reading it and watching this and hearing that, and it's all this mayhem. It's what is it? What is that about that just capturates us, right? Why is that need for us to really want it? You know, like sucking up with a straw. It's like we just want to
have drama.
Yeah, it's so
addiction
much
to drama. It's addiction to drama. It's addiction to that primal exchange with the world that is very reactive. So as soon as any information that threatens the status quo comes in, people tend to react. And that's, now again, this is not in a judgmental way at all. I mean, it's totally and completely understandable. But what we kind of intending to bring here is that it's instead of reacting, giving it a little bit of a time, a little bit of a breather to check in with yourself of why is it that you're reacting, which space you're reacting from, and then start to create the platform that can assist your vision rather than your fear. Because as long as we are in fear, we are out of control. As soon as we are in love with and in acceptance with who we are and what the world is, it's the most challenging thing to do when there is adversity.
Yeah, and it's funny how right now in Cyprus there's like a storm.
You can actually see it from the back here.
Yeah, it's kind of going crazy out there. I saw these flashing lights a moment ago, thinking, what is going on? We can't help drama. You know, a car accident happened on the side of the road. People slow down to see it, right? They want to see what's going on. And right now that's what's going on. But what does that bring you? What does that bring out of you? And I think right now, for us personally, it's just a time for deeper reflection. Any opportunity to take, as we feel like the house is about to be blown away. This is just the way it is. And when we were seeing the storm out earlier, we were just sort of thinking, there's a storm outside, but it's the calm within.
Yeah.
And it was very calm inside the house, and it's practicing that when it is crazy out there, and it may get even more crazy, is who you become through it and how you cultivate that inner calm when everyone's freaking out. Who do you want to decide to be in that moment? Can people count on you not to lose it with the fear and be swept up with it, but you can be that core, that stable force to bring comfort and stillness to others when they really need it.
It's like being the calm inside the storm, isn't it? And you know, the amazing thing is when you align with that completeness, knowing that everything is okay, really everything is okay, then somehow the rest just seems to follow. You know, it's got that knock-on domino effect, just like the law of vibrations do. You know, kind of seeing it as it's already all complete and it's already all fulfilled, and like we said, there is so much that goes on in the media that also kind of gives that coronavirus a certain personality now. You know, that it actually came here to assist us in so many ways. You know, it came to assist us in the pollution, it came to assist us in communication, in fighting for the solution, you know, bringing out the humanity in us, in caretaking. And even with us, it's a bit of a tough one when, for example, us having to come back from UK and then not being able to see the kids, for example, because they won't be able to go to school. That's a very tough one, because at that point in time you think to yourself, you want to be with them.
Well, it becomes very real because of how what's the impact it might have in other people.
Yeah.
If we see them, because it's not about us. The majority of it, for young healthy people, we're absolutely fine, right? But it's for the more vulnerable people out there that we are thinking about, people who are chronic illnesses, you know, older, who just might not be able to deal with it. And so we're fine, but it's really kind of taking that into account, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually, it's taking the responsibility. It's taking the responsibility for what you bring out into the world in your physical form as well. So kind of accepting the fact that it's not about our own needs that we're looking after. We really, you know, we might be restricted at this stage to have to move around in the way that we used to, but we're giving ourselves freedom by choosing to stay in. We're giving ourselves freedom from worry. From worrying about what if, because I've done this and this, could it have had affected somebody negatively, for example. So you give yourself freedom of that worry, and then you create more space then for healing.
Yeah, because I noticed even yesterday when we were hearing about on the flight back, people may have had the coronavirus on our same flight, and I felt this sort of red heat coming up in me, even though I'm all right, but it's the idea of being, a statistic here in Cyprus, or anywhere, right? And even though I nothing to be fearful about, but because of the heaviness of the fear of it, it becomes more than what it is, doesn't it? It's become more than what it was, and that is the weight of the media and people freaking out. And because of that, it's sort of, this is why we need to let go of the heaviness from it, and we've got to protect ourselves. And I remember just now thinking about you're swallowing for a moment, thinking, hopefully there's no soreness there, and you're kind of afraid, okay. But then what is fear again? I wanted to just emphasize it. It's us seeing more negatives than there are positives, right? And it means it's a disillusion. It's not real. And that's generally what fear is. Fear of seeing that there is a lot more downsides than there are upsides of the situation. And until you can see the equality of it, then you can be in a space of gratitude and love. So it's just seeing it. I mean, if it means sitting down, just saying, well, what are the positives of this situation for me right now? And just really stacking it so you can start to see it. Well, it's doing this and it's great and that's happening. So it might be very hard, be like, no, there's nothing good from it at all. That's the mind. The mind loves to go to a place of absolute panic and fear. It's sort of how we survived the ages to be this point. The most fearful survive, right?
It's amazing, but it's also bringing the awareness. It's really bringing the awareness to yourself.
All about
you're
awareness.
Constantly checking in. I mean, you're constantly checking in with your physical condition. You're checking in with how you're feeling, how you're thinking, with how you're communicating, who you're communicating with. So it's really, to a degree, serving us, but bringing us to the present moment. We're not here so much thinking about the past, about what happened, and the regrets that we've had, and the guilt trips that we've had. We're not so much thinking about the future, if we, are having to survive right now. So the gift of this is really that we are now living so much more in the present moment than before, just by being aware of what we put in and what we put out.
Well, yeah, it's like the idea of, do you want to have a drink? Maybe best not to do anything that would lower the immune system. So you're kind of consciously thinking about the very things that we eat and drink.
You're taking care of yourself.
We're very good at that anyway. But people who are smoking might kind of think twice about picking up those cigarettes or having that drink or whatever it might be, because all of these things do bring that level of self-awareness. As you said, that is what it's all about, and it's up to you to choose to become aware of it or stay unconscious to the whole thing. And I say, just, if these situations happen, use it to your advantage. Become aware of all your actions, because we are driven by our habits. They're very deeply subconscious. And things like this that happen really wake us up to our habits, because our life is dictated by our habits. The way you look, the way you feel is based on your habits. The little things that you do every single day compound over time. And if you're not in the shape you want to be and these things are happening, it's going to be harder for you to fight this very thing. And it might make you go, oh, actually, I need to start shifting what I do every day and change my habits completely. And if that's what it does and you get through this absolutely fine, and that was a wake-up call, then it was a marvelous thing, wasn't it? Right? But it's up to you how you decide to take it, how you choose to deal with it. And we're very fortunate, and this is why we're doing our Conscious Relationship podcast, because we'll get beyond this and we'll carry on talking on more intimate details and how it will serve you, because through the conscious relationship of this, we're growing closer and dealing with things in a way that's not, maybe other people are dealing with it in fear, and it's creating arguments right in the household, and maybe it's really putting strain on the relationship. Really give each other space, right? Just understanding that if they're acting out of fear, they may do things that's not, it's just a behavioral instinct. It's not actually them. It's based on behavior. And rather than say that they are that, it's just based on a fear or a moment of fear. And rather than take it as that behavior. Just know it's a behavior. It's just a function in that moment. It's not who they are. And just give yourself that awareness as well if you may act out, because it may not be who you usually are. So it's just really having that love and compassion for each other and your family and anyone that's around you. And just know that tension could be quite high, and have that kind of conversation beforehand, and well, really create the space and be somewhat more compassionate. My long-winded way of saying it.
Yeah, exactly. So the compassion really first goes out to yourself, and then it reflects onto the person next to you, and then that's how it goes on further. And to just round it off, one of the most common reactions, first of all, is to, and this is what I've seen as well, is to start pointing fingers. And we're so blessed that it's not the case in our relationship, because that's what I think makes it so different from most that we experience. But very often when people find themselves in a situation, there starts to be like the whole like blame.
You're wrong,
thing.
I'm right.
Yeah.
No love lives there.
And it's exactly, and it's not even so, and it's not as much wrong and right as it's your fault that this and this has happened. This is irresponsible. This is not, the best thing to do, or whatever it might be. So judgment upon judgment upon judgment, and all it does is just separates people.
This is a time where connection is very important. Maybe not so much close contact with people, but certainly having a space and just loving people from afar if you're not allowed to see them, and different countries that really need it. Because what does it need? More fear right now, or does it need more love? I mean, you make your call on that one. So this really is about, as you rightly said, it's giving that space, give that love. Anything else you want to put out there?
No, I think for now it's good. It will be great to hear your comments, guys. It will be great to hear how you're all doing. Sending our love out to you, in these times of change and transformation, more than anything else. Coming out stronger and better after all that turmoil.
Absolutely, always. And just remember, where you're putting your focus, that's what your reality will be. So you decide what your reality will be. And hopefully watching this has given you some food for thought. And look out for our next podcast coming out very soon.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Mwah. Ciao.
Bye.